What's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. This is going to be kind of a quick one, but recently AYN, the company behind the Odin Pro and the Odin Lite, which are definitely some of the best Android handhelds on the market, recently announced that they have two Windows handhelds in the works, and one of them is going to be the world's most affordable Windows-powered handheld. So the news on this broke a few days ago, and initially I was actually under the impression that they were just going to be installing Windows on the Snapdragon 845 and calling it a new console. But since then, they've actually released some specs and a price list for their new Windows-based handhelds. And this handheld is going to be known as the Loki, so we have the AYN Loki and the AYN Odin when it comes to the Android-based handheld. And there's actually a bunch of different SKUs here, from the Loki Mini all the way up to the Loki Max, but in all actuality, they're going to be using 3 different CPUs for these handhelds. First up, we've got the Loki Mini. The only information we really have on this right now is it's going to be priced at $299, 64 gigabytes of storage, and it's going to be using an Alder Lake U CPU. They haven't announced exactly what CPU they're going to be using here in the Loki Mini, but I do want to do some speculation in a second. But if we go down the list here, you can see that they're also going to be using the AMD Ryzen 5 6600U, which is going to be a great little APU. The base model on this one has 64 gigabytes of storage with a price point of $499. And when you go all the way up to the Loki Max, we've got the 6800U. This is definitely going to be the best performing out of the bunch, but the highest end model has 512 gigabytes of storage and is going to be priced at $800. And if they can get this out of the door at $800, given, all of the other manufacturers that have announced 6800U powered handhelds, this could be one of the cheapest 6800U handhelds on the market. But we're not exactly sure what that Loki Mini is going to be using. So what I want to do is a little bit of speculation and take a look at the Alder Lake U CPUs that are available right now. And we do have a couple choices when it comes to Alder Lake U. Now I do want to mention that this is kind of speculation. They could be using an unannounced chip, but right now when it comes to the mobile Alder Lakes, they're not going to be using something like an i7, an i5, and I don't even think they're going to be using the lower end i3. At the bottom of the list here, you'll see that we've got the Celeron 7300 and the 8500, or the 8505. I think it's going to be between the 8500 and the 7300, more likely on the lower end given the price point. So let's go ahead and check out the 7300 first. So for this, we've got a total of 5 cores, 1 performance core, 4 efficiency cores, total of 5 threads. Base power 9 watts, maximum turbo 29. And to tell you the truth, if the cooling system is set up correctly in the Loki, I don't see why we couldn't run this at 15 to 20 watts. Now with this chip here, they're stating that it has a clock of 1 gigahertz, but I'm not sure if this is just kind of the base clock and OEMs can go from there. We'll definitely have to see. But when it comes to the GPU, it's using 12th gen UHD graphics at 800 megahertz. We've got 48 execution units, which isn't bad, and with a lower resolution, this little chip should be able to do a pretty decent job, at least on the GPU side of things. Another thing this has going for it, which I would actually love to see, is Thunderbolt on the Loki. So the lower end Loki could get Thunderbolt 4, nothing like this has been announced, and they might leave it out altogether, but it'd be a cool little feature to have built in. And the next CPU we can speculate about is the Pentium Gold 8500. This is actually what I would love to see in this little handheld. So we've got a total of 5 cores, 1 performance core, 4 efficiency cores, and it's got a total of 6 threads, so one of these is threaded. Max turbo up to 4.4 on the performance cores, efficiency cores 3.3, base power 9 watts, turbo power 29. So again, just like the 7300, we can run this at 9 watts up to 29, and running this at 15 would get us right there in the middle. Same 12th gen UHD graphics with 48 execution units, but if we could get something like this with a lower resolution screen, and even just run it at 3.3 gigahertz, I think this would be a really great handheld, especially sitting at that price point of $299. This could be a really awesome option for a lot of people, and if they added Thunderbolt 4 to the 8500, it'd be even better. That way we could easily connect an eGPU. But like I mentioned, this is kind of speculation right now because all they have listed here is Alder Lake U, and those are the options we have. They're definitely going to have to go lower end with it, given the price point of $299. But when it comes to the higher end models of the Loki, we've got the AMD Ryzen 6600U and the 6800U. Both of these chips are going to perform amazingly in a handheld as long as we can get that wattage up and keep the heat down. but they're both based on Zen 3 Plus and have RDNA based iGPUs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the specs of the 6600U. We've got 6 cores, 12 threads, a base clock of 2.9. It's got a boost up to 4.5, and this will run anywhere from 15 to 28 watts. And with a better cooling system, you can actually take it up a little more than that. But at those wattages, it's kind of going to be hard to get the GPU up to its maximum clocks. This is using the new RDNA 2 based AMD Radeon 660M. We've got 6 CUs with a clock up to 1900 MHz. Now, even if the cooling system on this was constrained to 15 watts, we're still going to see some really great performance out of this. And hopefully they're using LPDDR5 running at 6400 MHz, because that's going to make all the difference when it comes to this iGPU. It supports 4800 up to 6400 LPDDR5, and you definitely want faster RAM with these integrated graphics. But yeah, I think this would be a good choice for a little chip in this handheld. And the next one we have is the 6800U. And with this one, we've got 8 cores, 16 threads, base clock of 2.7, max boost up to 4.7, and it'll run from 15 to 28 watts. In a very confined space, I'd say 15 to 20 watts would be perfect for an APU like this. But at 15 to 20 watts, we're not going to be able to max out that AMD Radeon 680M. I've personally done some testing with this chip already, and the GPU itself can pull up to 41 watts when it's totally maxed out. But it doesn't mean it's not going to perform well, especially with that faster RAM. But yeah, I mean, if they can keep this cool enough and provide enough power to it, this is going to be an awesome little handheld with the 6800U. I think the 6600U is also going to perform well. And when it comes to the Loki Mini powered by an Alder Lake U, I really hope we see at least that Pentium 8500 in there, because that little chip would do absolutely amazing with emulation. I love Alder Lake for emulation. It does have some really good single core and multi-core performance, but I've yet to test the Alder Lake Pentium and Celeron chips. Hopefully I can get my hands on a little laptop or a tablet with that soon, so we can kind of see how those perform. But yeah, I wanted to get this video out of the way. I know it's a little bit of speculation on that Loki Mini, but really all we got to go on right now is the Alder Lake U that they've announced. They haven't said exactly what CPU this is running. We know it's going to have 64 gigabytes of storage. I'm pretty sure we'll have micro SD card support and a price point of $299. This could be a really great handheld if they do it right. We've got a $499 price tag on that 6600U version with 64 gigabytes of storage. And as you can see from the list, we can go all the way up to $800 with their highest end model, 6800U, and 512 gigabytes of storage. Personally, I'm looking forward to the Loki Mini and something right in the mid-range there with the 6600U. 6800U is going to be great, and hopefully I can get my hands on a couple of these models so we can check them out when they're available. I know a lot of people are really going to be gunning for the 6800U model, but I'd actually like to know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you looking for a cheaper handheld at that $299 price tag? Are you going to go mid-range with it, or go all out with an $800 6800U model? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, if there's any other major news that comes out, I'll do another video on this. If there's just a couple leaks here and there, I'll post in my community tab. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.